So I'm a software architect, right? And what that really means is my brain is, well, it's basically a high-performance CPU. It's constantly running algorithms, optimizing everything, always looking for the most efficient path from A to B. And that's exactly what it was doing one day, stuck in the middle of Bangalore traffic when my wife, Priya, threw a piece of data at me that, well, it basically caused a total system crash.
And there it was. Of course, I told her, my mind already pulling up my calendar, calculating the optimal route home. I'll be home by 6 p.m. Easy. But no, that wasn't it. She wanted the entire day off. A full 24-hour cycle on a Tuesday. To my brain, this wasn't just a request. It was a logical anomaly. It just did not compute.
See, you gotta understand, I operate on a very simple principle. Get the maximum output for the minimum input. It's just the fundamental law of efficient systems. It's how I build software, it's how I plan my day, and Priya's request, it wasn't just inefficient. It felt like an attack on the very logic that holds my universe together.
So I came back with my own proposal. I mean, look at this. On my side, you have a masterpiece of optimization. We leave work early, hit a great restaurant, bang, bang, bang. Maximum quality time, maximum celebratory output. Her request? To do nothing. Just be there. It was like a program with no function, an empty command. It made no sense.
All right, so I did what any logical person would do. I laid out the data for her. Look, I said, it's a Tuesday. I've got 3 critical meetings that can't be moved. We've got sprint planning for the whole team, an architecture review, a client call that's been on the books for 6 weeks. Taking the day off wouldn't just affect me, it would cause a domino effect for like 15 other people. Not to mention, we were saving our leave days for that Goa trip. From a resource management perspective, it was just a catastrophic idea.
So I presented my case, flawlessly I might add, and she just listened, quietly, and then she said one word, okay. And, oh, I knew that okay. It wasn't an okay, you're right, okay. It was the kind of okay you get when you've just proven a point so thoroughly that you've completely missed the bigger picture. I had won the argument, for sure, but that victory felt hollow. It felt like I'd just lost something way more important.
That night, I just couldn't sleep. You know, an unresolved problem to me is like a bug in the code. It just sits there, eating away at you, demanding a fix. Clearly there was a variable I hadn't accounted for, some kind of logical error in my own thinking. I had to debug this thing, and I knew just the tool for the job.
Yep. I made a spreadsheet. At 1 in the morning, I was literally sitting there assigning numerical values to enjoyment, calculating the cost-benefit ratio of different birthday activities. And that's when Priya walked in. The look on her face made it pretty clear that trying to quantify her happiness in a pivot table was maybe not the right approach.
She just looked at me and said, Arjun, you can't optimize feelings like you optimize code. And, my immediate logical brain just fired back, of course you can. You just need the right metrics. To me, it was simple math. A 3-hour high-engagement dinner has a way better ROI than an 8-hour day of doing nothing. The data was crystal clear.
But then, she presented her own data, a timeline. 3 years ago on her birthday, I was at a conference in Mumbai. 2 years ago, a late-night go-live for a new payment gateway. Last year, a client trip to Chennai. And when she laid it all out like that, the pattern was, well, it was undeniable. I might have been there for dinner, but for the day itself, my system was completely unavailable to her.
Okay, her data was irrefutable. My entire way of thinking, my whole operational framework was built on a totally flawed assumption. It was time to debug my own source code. And when I need to really break a problem down to its absolute core, I turn to one of my heroes, the physicist Richard Feynman and his method. I had to basically rebuild my entire mental model from the ground up.
So, let's run the process. Step 1, the fact. Priya wants me to take leave. Simple enough. Step 2, what's my assumption? That the value of time is measured by productive output. Okay. Step 3, why do I believe that? Well, because that's how my entire professional life works. Agile, lean, it's all about output. And then, step 4, the killer question. Is that assumption valid in a relationship? And the answer that my own brain came back with was a loud, system-crashing no.
And this is the light bulb moment. In my world, in software, we obsess over 2 key metrics, throughput and availability. Throughput is basically how much stuff you can get done in a certain amount of time. But availability, that's just about whether the system is online and accessible when you need it. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. For years, I had been trying to optimize my marriage for throughput, maximum quality time and minimum hours. But Priya wasn't asking for more features. She was reporting a system outage. She needed availability.
This concept really slammed home the next day at work. I was talking to a junior developer about a 3-minute server downtime we had. Our overall uptime was like 99.9%, which is fantastic. But I had to explain to him, look, to the customer who was trying to make a payment at that exact moment, for them, our uptime was 0%. And as I said it, I realized, oh my God, for Priya, on her birthday, for the last 3 years, my uptime was 0.
I realized my whole calculation of opportunity cost was completely backwards. I was so busy asking, what am I giving up at work by doing this? You know, the meetings, the sprint planning. But that was the wrong question. The real question was, what am I giving up in my marriage by not doing this? I was so focused on the cost of taking a day off that I completely missed the massive compounding cost of being unavailable.
And that really gets to the heart of it. Being present for someone, it's not like just adding hours to a timesheet. It's not additive. It's more like compound interest. One big, meaningful act of being available doesn't just add to the relationship, it multiplies the value of everything else. It changes the entire equation. By taking that Tuesday off, I wasn't just taking a vacation day. I was sending a powerful signal, not just to Priya, but to my team, to my clients, and honestly, to myself. The signal was this: you are not the leftover time I have after work is done. You are the priority that work has to schedule around. She wasn't just another application to run. She was the core operating system. So I picked up the phone, I called her, and I said, I'm taking the day off. No laptop, no work calls. We are going to do whatever you want to do. And she asked, even nothing? And I said, especially nothing. And I could hear her smile through the phone.
And that's exactly what we did. We woke up with no alarms, we watched a truly terrible movie, we made sandwiches. By about 3 p.m., I did a mental check. From a productivity standpoint, by every single metric I used to measure a day's success, absolutely nothing had been accomplished. It was a total failure.
And it was absolutely perfect. It was one of the best days we'd had in years. The whole point was that there was no point. The absence of an objective, that was the objective.
Later that evening, Priya just summed the whole thing up perfectly, and she did it using my own language, which was the best part. She just smiled and said, you know, sometimes the system just needs to be online, even if it's not processing anything. She was right. It was about being in high availability mode.
And the aftermath? All that stuff I was worried about at work? Literally nothing happened. The world did not end. My client director just said, family comes first. The sprint planning actually went better when I got back. But at home, everything changed. Priya stopped starting sentences with, I know you're busy, but... She just started making plans, assuming I'd be there. The system had received that new signal, and it was learning.
So this is what I ended up logging in my own mental notebook. I call it the birthday paradox, and it's this. The value of time isn't measured by what you accomplish in it. It's measured by what you're willing to sacrifice for it. Presence isn't a deliverable you can check off a list. It's a signal, and it might be the most important signal you ever send.
So that kind of leaves me with one final question for you to think about. In your own life, where are the places you need to stop optimizing for throughput and start providing availability? Where are you so focused on getting things done that maybe you're forgetting the simple, powerful value of just being there?